For this project, you're going to need 2 foam brushes with identical handles, wooden handles. You're going to need a couple of these plastic miniature art paint brushes, hot glue and glue sticks, a pair of scissors, some wood stain, aluminum paint, and a heat gun. A couple other items that you may need are a pair of pliers that have a cutting section, or dikes, or some sort of heavy-duty cutter if your scissors aren't sharp enough, and some painter's tape. Alright, so when you buy your paint brushes, I got these at Walmart. I believe they were under $3, and it came in a package of 8 or 10 of them. I've used a bunch, I'm not really sure. But what you want to look for when you buy these is that the handles of every brush is the same thickness. Sometimes you can get a package where the handles are different sizes. You can see the different thicknesses here, if I can find the camera. There you go. You can see the different thicknesses here. You want to make sure that they're the same length. These guys come in a package of 30 from Walmart for 97 cents. Alright, so the first thing I do is separate the sponge portion from the handle. Now this is glued in there. If you grab the pair of pliers and just pull this, it can snap off, leaving the little tail of the plastic piece inside your handle, and then you won't be able to get it out. So you can use a hair dryer for this, but it takes a really long time. So what we're gonna do, turn your heat gun on, and right around here you're gonna heat up evenly, slowly. Make sure you constantly turn the brush so that the heat doesn't stay in one place too long and burn it. So after a few seconds, you want to try to pull this off, and to do that, you can see right here the plastic on both ends. You want to put even pressure on it very slightly. If it doesn't move, heat it up some more. What you're doing is you're breaking down the glue that's inside there. Okay, now you can see with very little pressure on both sides at the same time, even pressure, it starts to slide right out. Give me a nice hole like that. So next step, get your glue gun plugged in and warm it up. Take a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut the bristles off of the brush. Doesn't have to be neat or anything like that. Alright, so after I've cut my bristles off, I'm going to insert my paintbrush handle into the other paintbrush handle. Now for me, the paintbrushes I'm using have this little decorative piece here. I want that flush with the end of my handle. Alright, unfortunately, my video messed up again, so I'm going to have to show you this next part with a new brush. Anyways, after I cut the bristles off, I test fit it inside to see how far down it went. Hopefully you saw that part. Now, to get this ring flush with the edge of this, all you have to do is take your foam piece. Sorry, wrong brush. Take your foam piece that you removed with the heat gun, and you're gonna line the bottom piece of plastic up with your little decorative, line your piece of foam up with the edge of your decorative piece, and now you can see right there is where you're going to need to cut it off. Cut that off with your pliers, and then there you go. Now we're going to glue our plastic paintbrush handle into our wooden one. You can see now that everything fits nice and flush. I like to spread the glue on this plastic as opposed to just dumping it in a hole, because you want to put on just enough so that it'll hold and not gush out all over the place. And if you filled this up If you fill this up with hot glue, when you push this in, it's just going to gush out and it'll make a mess of things. So very, very little tiny bit on just the bottom portion. And just that little glob. Because it's going to smoosh her up and slide right up the shaft anyways. And then in one swoop, it's in there. That's it. And you can see that some of it did kind of squish out a little bit, but when it dries, that's going to peel right off. And then I'll be ready to paint these. Now my glue is pretty much dry to the touch. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and very carefully, without cutting myself, just kind of go around the edge of this and remove all this excess glue, because I don't want that on there. And there you go, all nice and cleaned up and ready for paint. All right, so for painting these things, there's two ways you can go about it. You can paint the entire thing silver, so it's all one silver unit, and just call it done. Or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the handle look like old wooden handle with a metal blade with a little, I don't know, cap or whatever right here. And to do that, I'm going to use the painter's tape. I only want a 1/2 inch, but unfortunately I do not have 1/2 inch tape, so I'm going to have to improvise. And I'm just going to eyeball it to where I want it and try to get it as straight as possible. Doesn't matter how many times it wraps around, just as long as you have a pretty clean line right here. I've already taped both of them off. I eyeballed both of them, and they both came out, you know, pretty darn close. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to run stain from my tape all the way down to the end, all the way around, let it sit a little bit, wipe it off. Okay, you may want to wear gloves when working with stain, because if this stuff gets on your hands like it just did to mine, it is very difficult to get off. All right, so I got a spare foam brush here. I'm going to hold it by the plastic end. Now, as I apply the stain, I'm starting at the tape and working away from the tape. This way, there's less likely chance for the stain to get underneath the tape. If you brushed this way into the tape, you have a good chance of getting stain underneath the tape, and that'll ruin your whole tape line. Don't forget the bottom. I'm using dark walnut on mine. I want my handles to be nice and dark, good stark contrast to the shiny metal that's going to be up here. After your stain has been put on, just take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. And what I like to do too is just kind of blot it a little bit, and it'll kind of give you a little bit of an uneven aged texture to it. If they don't match, which mine don't at this point, just go over it a second time with some stain and just repeat the same process. Now that the handles are dry, we're going to go with the metallic spray paint. So I came outside. You can see that I did still get quite a bit of bleed underneath the tape. So it could have been the tape I was using, or it could have been just that I didn't tape it down enough. But hopefully this is going to fix that. I've taped off a little bit more of the handle. I didn't tape the whole thing off, but you may want to tape the whole thing off. Alright, these are dry now. Time to remove the tape. Okay, and there it is. I already undid the other one. And there we have two fancy smancy lobotomy needles. And that didn't take, start to finish, this probably took an hour, maybe. And they're, you know, like I said, they're pretty safe. They're not going to hurt anybody. They're not going to break very easily. You can take some fake blood, which I may do, and bloody them up. You can rust them however you like, but that's pretty much it. So, thanks for watching.